would we go live,
we
though?
really
I'm gonna
going
do
live?
it,
Why
guys.
would-
The show is supposed to
Why-
start,
Is it really though?
and we're
Just
gonna
start
do
it.
some trade.
What is up? It is Thursday, December 8th at 5:05 p.m. And you know where you are. You are here with us, Sans Tom Grassi, for CLicKbAIt Sports. I am your host, 5 Points Vids, 5 Head Vids. I'm here today, so I won't get fined. But a man that doesn't want to get fined below me, Scooter Magruder. What's up? How you doing today?
Listen, I'm doing well. The Cowboys are doing well. It's December and we're doing well. What is life? What is actually happening right now? I'm just riding this wave.
I mean, you
Friday.
played the Colts though, so
Yeah, it's time.
And we
it's
play the
time to
Texans
feel
this
good.
week, so.
Yeah, that's an auto win right there.
Mhm.
Down below to this little area here, we've got urinating Tree in his home studio. How you doing there, buddy?
I'm hanging. Steelers are gonna BS their way to around 500 again, and I don't know whether to laugh or cry.
Speaking of crying,
I know what to do. It just certainly is cry.
Oh no, you laugh to
Brandon.
you'll have to hide the pain.
Brandon, my team is a mess. Perna, how are you doing there, buddy?
Hey, things are good here, guys. My football team nothing's going wrong in Denver. We won't
Absolutely
even
not.
be mentioned in this worst trade segment that we're doing. Not even. Well, we'll be mentioned for a good trade when we got John Elway from the Colts. But other than that, when we talk about the worst trades in NFL history, I doubt any trades my team has currently made will be brought up.
None whatsoever. That seems to be a theme for today. And we have what is that? Oregon State Beavers beat the Gators in the Vegas Bowl. I didn't even know that the Gators were bowl eligible. I'm surprised by that.
Yeah,
So basically what we're going to do for this show is talk about the worst trades in NFL history. I think you have a tier maker there.
Yes,
Brandon
I do.
Perna. So we're going to rank them all and talk about how bad, painful they were. Then we will also individually talk about the worst trades for our teams. I forgot to mention, Tom is not here. He had to attend a funeral. There was a loss in his family. So prayers up for Tom and his family. He did get the Jackson DeVille outfit, but he's not here. So we're going to have to wait a week on that. Also, wait, before we get into the segment, I said in the group chat before, are we going to do a CLicKbAIt white elephant gift exchange?
Oh.
I'm down. I don't really know how it would work, but
So the way, you do it, you just put your names into a hat, and then we all get assigned somebody else, and you have to buy them a gift of $50 or less.
so
I think
do we
50
just show the gift and then ship them?
No,
the
we
gift
ship it to each other.
afterwards?
Yeah, we ship it to each other, and then we open up our gifts from each other on stream.
I'm
I
down.
think that would be
I'm
fair.
in.
I would love to buy Scooter. You know what? I'll save it. I can't give it away.
I think
All
we
right.
should, instead of like $50 minimum, I think we should each have to spend $1,000.
$1,000.
$1,000. Then I'm
getting you a one-on-one therapy session with Russell Wilson then.
Ooh, I could fix him.
No, he's gonna fix you.
$1,000?
You're gonna be high to death.
What would I buy Tree for $1,000? I'd buy him $1,000 gift card to the dollar store and just see if he could buy 1,000 items.
Can
from
you
that
spend
place.
this all at the dollar
Mhm.
store?
That
That's
would be
actually
a
good punishment.
That would. You know what? That would be a good punishment.
Oh, it's no longer
Whoever, you have to
$1,000. It's
take
like
the exact
$1.50,
amount that you won in the punishment and buy that from the dollar store.
Yeah.
Ooh, spicy. All right, let's get into these trades.
No, Alexander. We punished Adam or Scooter or Tree.
Nope.
guys.
Nope.
No,
You know what is not punishing?
What's that?
DraftKings Sportsbook.
Got him.
Got him.
Oh, you thought I was going to say something different. No. Today's sponsor, of course, is DraftKings Sportsbook. Oops, let me get that super
Yeah,
chat
get it
outta
off
here.
the screen.
Yeah, we gotta get this.
I mean, not that we
disclaimers
don't
on there,
appreciate
baby.
the super chat,
But it
we gotta
covers
do
the
legals.
legal disclaimer.
Yes.
Check it right now with our code CLicKbAIt. Link in the description. Oh my God, my mouse stopped working.
Well,
Whoa.
that's the Broncos for you.
Fire him.
Customers, use our code CLicKbAIt when you sign up over at DraftKings after you download the app, after you realize that they are an official sports betting partner with the NFL. If you place a pre-game money line wager bet of $5 or more and that bet hits, and I recommend betting on a certain team from the state of Colorado. Bet against, take
the under.
other team is what I'm saying.
Yes.
You want to cash that $5. DraftKings is going to give you $150 in free bets. And if mobile sports betting is not available in your state, don't worry. You can still get in on all of the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and DraftKings Rainmakers. Even in the desert, the Rainmakers works. You know, DraftKings, safe, secure, reliable. You can deposit, withdraw your money whenever you want. 6 a.m.? Sure. 4 a.m.? Yep, you betcha.
What are you doing up, though?
3:23 a.m.? You can deposit or withdraw.
Yeah.
2:52 p.m.? Don't try it. Don't even try it, but you could. Code CLicKbAIt. Link in the description. $5 pregame moneyline wager. Again, bet against my team, and I think you'll win. $150 in free bets if it hits.
Yeah, and if you're not watching this live, you can click on the pinned comment, and the link will be in there too.
Ooh, sexy.
Yes. All right.
9 out of 10. I like that one.
Yeah, that was a
9
very good read right there. Very good. All right. We have the tier maker list. Can you call that up, Brandon?
Boom.
And so you've got the trades already just installed.
Well, I figured
Here,
we can shuffle through this as we go. I do like that DraftKings is right in the middle of it.
Yeah,
I like it
it's not worse than very
now
bad.
it's covering trees.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? Keep it there because no one needs to see my face.
That's fine. You're an all right looking dude.
I don't know about that, dude. The glass breaks every time I look in the mirror. It's not good.
I tried to grab every guy
Self-deprecation.
I thought we might be considering in here. There's a couple maybe that we won't, but yeah, we've got a good baseline here, I think.
Okay.
Yes. I think Scooter should go first.
Now, is this just recent trades? How are we doing? These look like more...
This is in the history of the game.
Yeah, I
But
see
there are a
Herschel
couple,
Walker.
The reason we're doing this, okay, guys, I get it. Everybody on Twitter every day tells me that the Russell Wilson trade is the worst trade ever. And I say, I still think the Deshaun Watson trade is worse because my quarterback was not accused of crimes against women. So that's where I stand. Either
Russell
way.
Wilson has crimes against sanity and fashion.
Oh, did
crimes
we have
against football?
some
Sure.
supers?
So that's where we're starting because there was two crazy trades this offseason. Deshaun Watson in his return back played awful. He was terrible. Doesn't mean he'll stay terrible. But that's kind of our baseline, I think, where we're starting.
Yeah, I feel like we can just go through one by one and rank all of these, and then we can add all of our teams' rankings afterwards.
Okay, that's fine. Fair enough.
So who is this first person? Is that Antonio Brown?
First one is Antonio Brown, who the Raiders traded, a third-round draft pick and what else did they trade for him? It wasn't a lot, but that trade just was so bad for the Raiders.
I don't think that's an awful trade because Brown was never going to be productive for the Raiders. Like he was already checked out.
Oh, I disagree.
He had $30 million guaranteed. Like he was going to do it, and he just went off the rails.
They traded a third and a fifth for him.
Yeah, Pittsburgh had to pay the cancer tax.
But they should have known better to me. Like
They had to
shoulda-
cut it. I mean, they
I said
cut him
Buffalo.
in
He was going to
preseason.
get traded to Buffalo, but AB didn't want to go there.
I don't
Just
blame
based
him.
him.
off the compensation and what I know is coming down the line, it can't be. I think it's very bad. It's not bad. It's not the worst ever. It's very bad. A third and a fifth, not that big of compensation. Very bad. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
Tree, what do you think?
I would say it's a bad trade, but like at the same time, they only gave up a third and a fifth.
That's fair. So you're
Yeah,
going
still
bad.
2 draft picks though. I mean,
Five,
a lot
what are
of
you going? Bad or very?
I'm gonna say very. You know what? I'm gonna back off. I'm gonna say very bad and agree with you because I'm folding like a lawn chair right now. So
Okay.
I'll just give up
Oh.
on my
Very
argument.
bad. Is Amari Cooper on this list, by the way? Because
No, I spared you, Scooter.
okay.
I
That's fair.
thought about it.
That was a terrible
then-
trade.
The way your offense is playing right now, it's like, okay.
Is
they're
AJ
fine.
Brown on here? He got a guy
Oh, dang,
fired.
I forgot AJ
No,
Brown.
AJ Brown.
You got to put him on there somehow. Can you add
Yeah.
him?
How do I don't think I can add images.
Oh,
We'll come back. We'll
that
come
guy
back.
got fired.
Who's the next
Got a
on the
guy
list?
I
John
can change the
Elway.
background color.
That's
Oh.
John Elway.
Yes,
Yeah, I got
that
John
was
Elway in there.
on draft day. If you go to
So-
presentation mode, yeah, there you go.
There it is.
Ooh.
There we go.
Ooh,
John
kinky.
Elway. I mean, this
Mm.
is the Indianapolis Colts traded away a Hall of Fame quarterback. But
Colts
Why
were
did
never
they
going
do
to
it?
play. He was never going to play for Baltimore.
he refused to play for the Colts. Let me see. What did they
I think
give
they got
up?
like a lineman, right?
They got a couple linemen. They got
Yeah,
traded
they
for a future
they kinda-
first round pick, Chris
Yeah.
Hinton and Mark Herman.
There you go. Mark Herman. Yep.
They were like solid pros. I remember this. I remember.
This can't be the worst ever, only because what do you do when someone says I'm not going to play for you? You
And
know,
the first round pick was Ron Solt.
Draft
you
a
have to
different
salvage the
quarterback.
situation
So-
somehow.
Solt
draft
actually
Dan
turned into
Marino,
a
Yeah,
decent.
but you got to
Jim
get
Kelly.
something for it, right? Well, yeah, Dan Marino was in that draft.
Draft
wasn't he?
Dan Marino instead.
Yeah. He wouldn't have refused. What if Marino refused to play for the Colts and he was just like, I don't want to play for you either? I think they had come off like a 1-win season, right?
Yeah, they were.
So they were bad already.
they were 0-8-1.
Yeah.
That was
Strike
lockout
short.
year, but still.
Yeah. I would say it's just a bad trade. I agree with Scooter. Like he leveraged them into a trade, an impossible trade for me. That's what I'm saying. And it ended up being a great trade for the Broncos.
Oh, who just got dumped with a $300
Wow.
punishment?
Not me.
Who
not
is going to
me.
have to buy $300 worth of stuff from the dollar store?
Gosh darn it. Not like this.
Not like this.
Is that Scooter or Adam?
Yes, it is. It's
Not
not me. It's not I.
It's not me.
Marissa.
It's not the
There's a-
DraftKings logo.
Imagine. I think that whoever has to do it has to film the person at the counter scanning all 300 items and just be like yeah, I can't do this.
All right.
What if
Next,
it's
we got Brett
$600?
Favre. Brett Favre.
Favre.
No, I feel like people forget that he was originally drafted by the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
And after just one season, they send him to the Green Bay Packers for the number 19 overall pick in the first round of 92, where the Falcons took running back Tony Smith.
Now,
I don't know.
are we basing this off who they took and got in exchange, or who was available and they just didn't happen to draft that person? You see what I'm saying here?
I say it's like a combination, right? Like you have to see what you got for your investment, right? You
Yeah.
got rid of Brett Favre. Was the return on the investment there? Because
No.
you can argue for the Colts in the Elway trade, they got some return, but the Falcons got nothing. And wasn't he a punter? Wasn't that the other thing? Or he was like a quarterback / punter, or am I just tripping?
Favre?
Favre?
Yes.
No, you're thinking of
No.
Tom Tupa.
Yeah,
okay.
he was a
My bad.
quarterback slash snake oil salesman who swindled money from the poorest people in.
Well, that's
the
what I was
state
gonna
of
say. There was that
Mississippi.
other trade where he traded his dignity for $5 million, I think, from the poor
Which
people.
I mean, it's easy to confuse a punter with a thief. Honestly,
Yeah, well, punters just thieve money from the NFL because they're just gonna do one thing. That's it.
Maybe-
Yeah, I would say it was very bad because Favre did end up. I mean, y'all would have taken '90s Favre on your team.
Yeah.
oh yeah, I mean, and the Falcons just weren't really good or relevant for a long time.
No, they were
they
bad
could've
in the
been
80s. Very bad in the 80s. They had that one run in 98 and then dead.
Dead. It's so funny that Tree is behind the DraftKings.
Honestly, I am the DraftKings. I am inevitable. The DraftKings is now sentient. I am growing hands.
It's so interesting though
Hands
because
for DraftKings.
what could have been if Brett Favre stayed on the Falcons? Would Vic have even gone to the Falcons at that point? So
I'm going to play devil's advocate, though, because quite frankly, Brett Favre was in a messy situation in Atlanta. The coach didn't like him. He wasn't going to develop properly. He needed that trade to become Brett Favre. And if Brett Favre wasn't traded, he probably would have washed out in the league in about 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, that's really fair. Like, that's so many quarterbacks. They have to be in the right situation to succeed
Yes.
earlier in their career. What's interesting to think about, okay, so the Broncos beat the Packers in Super Bowl 32 with Brett Favre, quarterbacking the Packers. Then they play the Falcons the next year. What if the Falcons are in the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 33 with Brett Favre instead of, was it Chris Chandler?
Chris Chandler.
Chris Chandler. Yep.
Dan Reeves leads Brett Favre to the Super Bowl against the Broncos. Maybe Reeves ends up victorious there. In the
Once
Broncos
again,
or
you
not.
can't guarantee that Brett Favre's going to be as good as he was in Green Bay and Atlanta.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
true.
he could have been awful. He could have been Matt Schaub. Could have been
anything.
somebody trash. You know what would happen if Brett Favre never got traded? Then Gary Anderson never misses that field goal against the Falcons, and Minnesota wins the Super Bowl. All right, can we get some
we got
more
next?
trades? Yeah, who we got? We got on the
Okay.
tier maker.
Sorry,
Give us
I'm
some
doing the super
trades.
chats and the tier maker.
Is that
guys.
John Gruden?
Yep.
That's a
John
trade.
Gruden to the Buccaneers.
what did they give up?
Years.
I think they gave up a first-round pick.
For a coach.
Yeah.
See, here's my theory.
They gave up a first?
Here's my theory.
I just
The
saw the comp
Buccaneers-
today and I can't remember it.
The
It was
Buccaneers
traded
would-
for a 2002 and 2003 first-round picks, 2002 and 2004 second-round picks, and $8 million for John Gruden.
Put this up to worst runner up. This has got to go up there.
No,
because-
John Gruden won a Super Bowl, though, dude.
Yeah, but
yeah, and
yes, but and if you hear a lot of people say he won a Super Bowl with Tony Dungy's players, and that team could have won it by themselves. A lot of
That's-
people said it
that's
didn't
the
even
question,
matter who
though.
was coaching.
absolutely, I agree because Tony Dungy went out and won a Super Bowl with the Colts, right? Using the same sort of philosophy. That defense was nasty, and John Gruden didn't develop that defense. Didn't do it. I think that was Monty Kiffin's defense, right?
Isn't this the Warren
So-
Sapp? This is the Warren Sapp era,
Yep.
correct?
Warren Sapp,
Yes.
Derek Brooks.
What
John
is
Lynch.
Sunday Barber,
Gruden
John
doing
Lynch.
to teach these people that they haven't already? No, you gave up
Nothing.
2 first overalls. You were
Yeah,
already there.
This is a worse trade. This is for the Raiders, not like the Buccaneers gave up a lot to get John Gruden, and it worked out for Tampa. This cost
Kind
the
of.
Raiders a super. Gruden got fired because of the
Oh,
tuck
yeah.
rule.
Well, that's
traded
true.
because of the tuck rule.
Yeah.
So
They had Bill Callahan, and he sold the Super Bowl.
yeah,
How can you say
And-
that though? Because the Raiders ended up making the Super Bowl without Gruden. The only thing that was the
that was
difference
Gruden's team that made the Super Bowl. So it's
Right.
like the Raiders were close to going to the Super Bowl, that they get rid of John Gruden, and then they get to the Super Bowl, they got to face John Gruden, and John Gruden knows exactly everything that offense does, and they were able to just decimate them. So as a Broncos fan, that Super Bowl was really fun to watch.
That was a shellacking,
Yeah.
by the way.
It's
I'm going to
gotta
say
be the
that
worst yet. It's got to be at minimum worst. I would even say worst runner-up because you gave up 2 first overalls and second round picks.
I don't think it's a worse runner.
But you won a
No,
Super
I would
Bowl.
say there's a lot of worse trades out there than Gruden.
It's
2
one. It's
first overalls.
It was first rounders, and those first rounders, I think, only became, I was looking it up just a moment ago, Napoleon Harris and Tyler Brayton. They
But
did
who
not
could
become
they
much.
have become?
So they
Who
whipped.
Well,
could they
well,
have-
one of them was after Tampa won the Super Bowl, so it was only the 32nd pick of the draft.
and
No.
giving
They were all like They were all like playoff selections.
giving
We'll go
Al
worse.
Davis more draft picks. That's a dangerous situation.
Yeah, that's like
It's like, whoa,
Like-
we can get speed.
it's like hiring a
We'll go
bartender
worse.
who's
We'll
a
go worse.
recovering alcoholic. It's
Oh,
just not a good
Baby, we see what is
Ooh.
up next.
Mm-hmm.
We got Herschel Walker.
Wow.
And this
I think-
trade is considered by many the worst trade
The
of all
best
time
trade
Mhm.
for the
all
Vikings.
time. Put this up at worst ever. I don't think there needs to be a debate on this one. Like,
I think we should put him up here at worst ever, and
Who
then
are
we
we
can bring
debating?
in some contenders to see if
Okay.
anything
Okay.
can come close.
Does someone have the particulars on this trade? Because I remember it was egregious.
Yes.
It was
Let me look it up.
the
like
Herschel Walker trade was the largest player trade in the history of the NFL. Oh my God.
6
Yes.
draft picks.
Okay, here we go. Cowboys, which is all I care about. This is who we got. Jesse Solomon, linebacker. David Howard, linebacker. Isaac Holt, cornerback. Defensive end, Alex Stewart. Okay, you might not have heard about those people. Here's also what we got, though. Minnesota's first in 1990. Their second in 1990. Their sixth in 1990. Their first in 91. Second in 91. First in 92. Second in 92.
you're
third
still
in-
reading?
Yep, it was a lot of them was conditioned on players getting cut or traded.
Yep.
Didn't
But
y'all
that's
take
the
all these
ball.
picks and turn them into like Troy
Emmett
Aikman,
Smith.
Yeah,
Emmett
Emmett Smith,
Smith,
Darren
Maryland,
Woodson,
Russell Maryland.
Listen to what
Alvin
Did
Did y'all get
Harper.
Larry Allen from
Cowboys
this?
to
No,
win
not Larry Allen.
Oh.
They,
this is literally the catalyst for us winning all of
Yeah.
these Super Bowls in the 90s. It was this trade, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't
It
like
is
the
dumbest
Cowboys,
trade.
blame the Minnesota Vikings for arming us with the talent to come
Yeah.
for ages.
It built your team.
Look at it, bro. I'm wearing the jersey. We're here.
It made the Cowboys so good they were able to win a Super Bowl with Barry Switzer.
well, you can thank Neil O'Donnell for throwing it.
Do
right
you
to right
remember
round for
those
that.
Super Bowls?
Yeah.
Scooter.
I was young. I was very young.
How old is young? Like 3, 4 years old?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
The-
Pretty much.
You do not have a formative memory of that.
Mm-mm.
The Neil Donald interception, that's one of my probably like earliest Super Bowl memories.
Mhm.
That
I
wasn't-
hated that day.
I mean,
I
like I
hated
was
that
rooting
day.
so hard for the Cowboys to lose because I just didn't want to see them win another. Like I've
I
always
got
been the type of sports fan. It's like once a team's won once,
Yeah,
that's enough.
yeah, that's it.
Twice,
Yeah, great
definitely
story.
enough. No more,
Yeah.
no more for you, Super Bowl.
Whatever.
Glutton.
Ain't my
Right.
problem.
Underdog story. Yeah. Yeah.
So who's
And
the team now in the NFL?
Neil Donald was like the first non-Bronco player that I remember having like real feelings about, and I hated him.
I,
Like, this
I have an
guy-
irrational hatred of Neil O'Donnell to this day. That man ruined my childhood. I want to say very, very bad expletives about Neil O'Donnell. And I'm really glad that dude got flopped on the Jets because he sucked.
He did come up clutch in the AFC Championship.
So who is
game,
the
though.
team
He got
now?
you there.
that you dislike Brandon because they're winning all the time, or is it just Tom Brady? Like a lot of
No,
people.
it was yeah, it's Brady. It was the Patriots for a while there.
I mean, they won a lot. They
it's good.
won.
It's the Chiefs too because theirs is not even Super Bowl related. It's just the Broncos have lost to them 13 straight times.
Dang.
Yeah.
It's
They've had their
unfortunate.
fun. They've had their fill.
So you don't like the Warriors, is what you're telling me? You don't want the Warriors to win anymore?
I've had my fill of Warriors as well.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yes.
Yeah, they got it done.
I
again.
liked-
you know what? I
liked
don't
Watson.
mind. Actually, I don't mind the Warriors winning because they just play really fun, enjoyable basketball. Like you're like, all right, okay. They just drain threes like the whole time, and you're just like, wow, this is fun to watch.
The Beast of Metal trade, probably like RG3, the RG3 trade or the Ricky Williams trade. Those would be the two for me.
Now we're getting into some juicy ones here. We've got DeAndre Hopkins.
Okay, look.
Bill O'Brien.
Listen, for me, this one is my worst ever because, first of all, they just traded a top 3 receiver
Worst
for
ever.
literally nothing.
Ever.
You traded him for a terrible salary of a
Did you
guy
just
who
hear
hadn't
what I
done
just
anything
read
since
out to you?
2016.
I just read out to you so many picks.
Well, because that trade happened so long ago, like it's not as fresh in people's memories. Just everything surrounding this D-Hop trade, they basically just gifted him to the Cardinals, got nothing in return, got an aging player with a horrible contract in return, and then gave the Cardinals like another draft pick, I think. Like they were like, please take DeAndre Hopkins.
This is what a paragraph in one article says. The Arizona Cardinals put off the greatest wide receiver robbery of all time with the DeAndre Hopkins trade. The trade basically only cost Arizona a 2nd-round pick, and the 4th rounder they received became Rashard Lewis, who hasn't impressed or failed so far.
Yeah. I would say that's one of the biggest for me personally.
I'm putting this as worst runner-up just because of the compensation. Like the compensation alone. Forget the players. You could just do the compensation, and that would be better than this trade right here. D-Hop is a bona fide top 5 receiver in the league. So for the Cardinals to get him for basically a 4th-round pick, it is a steal.
A steal is putting it, and he paid dividends. I mean, he had that catch in Buffalo, that Hail Mary catch, like
the Hail Murray.
Oh, now
reason
Brandon's face is blocked.
It's tough to put like Hopkins in worst ever is because like the Texans and the Cardinals just really haven't done anything since that happened. Like Herschel Walker turned the Cowboys into Super Bowl champion. Gruden wins a Super Bowl in Tampa. It's just like there kind of needs to have like a team really benefit from the success of that player. And the Cardinals just have too many issues.
That's have issues.
Okay.
Sri, where are you putting this? Worst ever or runner up?
Right now, I got it a runner up.
Yeah, I put it.
Yeah. You know what? I'll back
because
off.
that is the peak Bill O'Brien situation because there were too many of baby mamas coming to practice. That was the whole thing. Like he didn't like DeAndre Hopkins. That is Bill O'Brien, the GM, because I remember it clearly because that was in the beginning of when lockdown happened and everyone had nothing to do. But we were praising the gods for NFL free agency because there was nothing else going on.
I can't believe we went through a gosh darn pandemic. That was crazy.
So part of the wrinkle of it, and this is why I call it one of the worst ever, is because of O'Brien and Jack Easterby, being like, "Ooh, we've got character concerns over DeAndre Hopkins." When I don't know. Last I checked in the NFL, someone's character really doesn't matter as long as they are producing for you. So,
I'll say this: this might be the most modern day worst ever trade. Like maybe past 10 years, definitely.
And we all knew it was terrible from the get-go. Funniest part was that Bill O'Brien was trying to just force feed David Johnson to justify the trade too.
Yeah, because he wanted to correct his mistake.
Is that a Seahawks?
This is Steve Largent.
Ooh,
Steve Largent.
This is an obscure one. A little more obscure. What did they get for Steve Largent?
Let's
Congressman
see here.
Steve Largent.
Houston, let's see here. Traded for an 8th-round pick in 1997. So Largent was selected in the 4th round by the Oilers. And they traded him before they even got to week 1, apparently. As they traded him to Seattle for the 8th pick in 1977. Obviously, Largent went on to be a Hall of Famer after 14 seasons with the Seahawks, making 7 Pro Bowls. And
The
for
draft
whatever
used to have
reason,
8
Seahawks trades have been
rounds.
on my
I think you
radar
used to have
lately.
10 rounds.
10 rounds of the draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you used to have 10
Yep.
rounds.
They used to be like
Um,
12 or 13.
So this is basically like they traded a DeAndre Hopkins before they found out it was a DeAndre Hopkins type player, a Cooper
Yeah.
Kupp type player.
It's like a Brett Favre in a way.
But maybe they had no use for him.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
they were
Houston,
like,
I think,
"Oh,
had a
you're
couple big wide receivers at the time, and they didn't have space for him. So they wanted to get something for him before they cut him. They didn't. He probably didn't flash that ability he would have in Seattle.
Yeah, and
There's
would
always
he have
a
fit in
silver
with-
lining to
yeah.
a trade, no matter where you are, because you can't guarantee that Steve Largent would be
Guys, I
Steve Largent
forgot.
on the Oilers.
AJ Brown. Bill Belichick was traded. That's right.
Forget that the Jets traded Belichick to the Patriots for
Paper.
a lot.
Yep.
And then
I
People
thought
that
he
hated that trade at
resigned.
the time.
I thought
Well,
he resigned.
I think they wouldn't let him out of his contract.
Oh.
yeah. Let's see here.
He resigned on a napkin. That's the
Yep.
funniest story
To
ever.
me, it's not as bad as a DeAndre Hopkins because you're trading it away before you know the talent level. Does that make sense? So like we know DeAndre Hopkins was an all-star, top 5, top 10 receiver. This is more of like a rookie first year. You have no idea what this person is capable, and then they go on
Mm-hmm.
and become this. So it
I would
can't
say
be.
it's just bad. Yeah.
You think it's just as bad?
No, it's just bad. It's just a
Oh.
bad trade. Like it was more like, oh, we traded that guy. Like I don't think he would have worked in with Buddy Ryan's run and gun system either in Houston. He was like a possession receiver to the core. So I feel like maybe it was actually maybe even a good trade for Houston. They got an 8th round pick out
Buddy
of it.
Ryan didn't go to Houston until the early 90s. You're thinking
Well,
Bum Phillips. But even then,
Bum
they were more
Phillips
like a
or
run
whatever.
first options. They had like Ken
Kevin
Pastorini.
Killdrive. No,
Well-
I'm thinking Kevin Killdrive.
No, Killdrive was early 90s, dude.
Oh, well.
That's way
whatever.
later.
Well, that's all I remember from Houston anyway. So
Bum Phillips, brother.
my
10-gallon hat.
My
What
confluence
are you
of
saying
memory.
this trade is?
I'd say it's bad. I would say just because of the situation. It was a bad trade, but considering they didn't give up that much
Yes,
or
Bum
return that
Phillips.
much,
What a name, huh? Bum
Yeah.
Phillips.
legend in Houston.
Yeah.
So I would say it's just a bad trade.
That's fair. I'm in agreements. An agreement.
Agreements. Agreements is not a word. Agreement
agreement a
is a word. Agreements is not a word. So is neither is irregardless.
Irregardless is not a word.
It is not a word.
Agreements is a word.
Agreements.
It means uncountable.
Oh.
Hmm.
Uncountable. So when you spill a bunch of jelly beans on the ground, you're like, this is an agreement?
It's an obscure form. Interesting. Who do we have next? Who is this?
We got. Does anybody know who this is?
Ooh, Rick Meyer.
Rick
Yeah.
Meyer.
Myrer.
Rick Meyer for a first round pick. Oh,
This
Lord.
is so close to one of the worst. And again, it's the Seahawks, right?
Yep.
Getting
wow.
rid of a quarterback who was a first rounder, but played bad for Seattle, went 20-31. And yet, somehow the Chicago Bears gave Seattle a first rounder for Rick Meyer.
I got a
Meyer.
paragraph right here. Here we go.
The QB started one game in Chicago after that trade.
Here we go. I got a paragraph. Quarterback Rick Meyer, the second pick in the 1993 NFL draft, is traded to the Bears for a first round draft choice that the club then uses to trade up to the 3rd spot to select Sean Springs. So effectively, this trade netted the Seahawks Sean Springs, which, if you guys
Right.
remember,
And got a quarterback who
beast.
became a famous bust. Like who's the worst number 2 overall quarterback ever taken?
Number
Is
2, probably Ryan
Rick-
Leaf.
Rick Meyer?
Ryan Leaf.
Ryan Leaf? RG3?
No, Ryan Leaf.
RG3 's
Trubisky?
That's a tough one because he was playing well. He just got hurt.
Marcus Mariota.
No, dude. It has to be Ryan.
It's
Leaf.
got to be Leaf. Yes, you're right. It's Leaf, but I mean, Heath Schuler. No, Heath Schuler was not. No, wait.
I mean,
Was
Zach Wilson.
Trent Dilfer?
No, I think
Dilfer
Trent was
not.
like a 5th or like a 6th.
No, I looked it up. Yeah, Leaf is the worst. But Zach Wilson, that's right. Zach Wilson is trash.
Ooh, Zachy Poo.
Mhm. All right.
know it.
Who's this next one? I have no idea who that is.
You don't
Is
know
that
who
Randy
Randy Moss
Moss?
is?
It was a disaster.
What was that?
Was the
No,
06
I know who it
year,
is. I
right?
just don't remember the trade. Was this the trade to the Patriots?
Yes.
Oh boy.
Well, if I remember correctly, this was 06. Randy Moss had a terrible, terrible year with the Raiders. They had Art Shell as their coach. He was getting thrown ducks by Andrew Walter, if I remember correctly. And
Yeah.
it was just an absolute train wreck, and there was a lot of like issues with him, and like he had demanded out immediately because he wasn't going to thrive there. So, like, it was a bad trade, but it was set up to fail regardless.
I remember that season because I had Randy Moss. I drafted Randy Moss in my fantasy league, like the number 2 overall pick, and he did not produce anything. That year.
When you're being thrown to by Andrew Walter, that probably ends up what ends up happening. Well, who's their other quarterback? Culpepper? No, I don't think it was Culpepper.
I think
it was,
Aaron Brooks.
Aaron Brooks.
Oh wow,
Dude, that's an old name.
That was not
past prime
Saints.
Aaron Brooks.
Yeah, that was not New Orleans Saints Aaron Brooks. That
Yeah.
was Raiders Aaron Brooks.
Because-
Boy, that was
his last year, I think.
The Raiders dealt Moss for just a 4th round pick too, and
Cancer tax. That's why.
yeah, I mean, like you can factor that all in. It's why it's not one of the worst ever. But like what he did immediately after leaving the
Oh my
Raiders just
God.
makes
Yeah,
like,
the
was
most-
it the next season that he set the record for most receiving touchdowns? Was it
Yes,
the next season with
20?
23?
Yes, 23. He got that record against the Giants on the last day of the season,
Oh, dang. Sorry, Adam.
and that hurt. Yeah.
All right. Well,
It's
this
pretty-
this next one is also going to be a worst runner-up, and it is the draft day. Mike Ditka, Ricky Williams, give my
Oh.
entire draft away for a running back trade.
Actually,
Go ahead.
I want to add an addendum here. There should
Okay.
be an honorable mention to the Cincinnati Bengals not accepting the New Orleans offer of every single draft pick and then some, because you know who Cincinnati picked instead of taking that trade? Achilles Smith.
Oh,
That's right.
It was so bad. He was one of the biggest busts of all time.
So the only thing that doesn't make this the worst or an awful one because the name redacted did not draft well with the haul of picks that they got. I remember the picks that they picked up. I don't know if Scooter, if you have an
I
article
think
on this,
one of
but
them
none of
LeVar
them,
Arrington.
like only one of them became a starter.
I think
Like
it was-
they got 6 or 7 picks, and
Well, okay.
maybe one was decent.
Okay, so I got a chart up. They got the 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, 1999,
Gosh.
and a 1st and a 3rd. Okay,
Mhm.
for the next year in 2000. Then I have a flow chart. Basically, Saints got Ricky Williams. These are who all the players became. Look at what the Redskins, formerly known as the Redskins, look at what they got. Champ Bailey,
Okay, all
LeVar
right. That's
Arrington,
Boom,
Derek
boom.
Smith,
the one. I don't remember this.
Well, Champ Bailey, I think they traded up to get him.
Lloyd
Oh
Harrison.
no, you're right.
The
You're
Bears
right.
got Kate McNown, Dwayne Bates, Warwick Holdman, Kari Samuel, and Dustin Lyman. The Broncos got Desmond Clark and Billy Miller. As far as
No, I'm
concerned-
remembering a different. I'm remembering the RG3 trade is what I'm remembering.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
that's
a trade
good
that
one.
Yeah, they got a
everyone's face.
haul, and none of the teams were. I forgot about
like
Champ
the
Bailey.
only one that was a starter was Alec Ogletree, if I remember correctly.
This would be the worst ever trade, except for still the compensation from the first trade is way more, even for this team trading all their draft day picks. Cowboys still were able to get more, and that is wild. But shouts out to the Vikings. We
So
appreciate
weird
you.
to trade like all of that for running backs too, especially the way the NFL sort of like devalued that position, but it kind of shows you how important running backs used to be thought of in terms of your NFL offensive success. And like Ricky Williams was good. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't like he was a bad football player after all of that. It's just if you give up that much for one guy, he's got to take you to the Super Bowl.
And the
Here's
problem
a
is he was
question.
gone in 3 years, if I remember correctly.
Here's a question for everyone. Is there any player this year or any player in the NFL you would give up every single draft pick for right now? Is there a player in the NFL? Would you give up all your draft picks for a Patrick Mahomes next year? Every single draft pick?
If you're a quarterback away, absolutely.
Yeah, I think.
What about any defensive player? Does any defensive player would you trade
Micah Parsons?
all of you're trading all of your draft picks for Micah
I would
Parsons?
say all of them.
Kayvon Thibodeau, and you're saying that?
I'd give Thibodeau, dude.
I could see somebody trying to do that for TJ Watt or Aaron Donald. You'd probably
yeah,
all
Micah
of them?
Parsons is a beast. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say
1,
the
2, 3,
whole
4, 5,
draft.
6, 7.
No,
I would need like a full secondary or a full defensive line.
That's fair. It's so interesting. It's interesting how running back was the position people were doing it for, and nowadays we'd only really consider it for a QB.
Because there's no real bell cow running back anymore. The only one you could even think about doing that for is Derrick Henry. But even then, he's like, what has he got? A couple years left?
Yeah, he's already slowing down a little bit.
Chat,
no
let us know.
offense,
Who would you
yeah.
trade all your draft picks for right now? Leave a comment. Stop playing.
Any of you ever think about trading your money for more money?
Oh, I like doing that. I'll trade money to lose money, especially with my gambling habits.
DraftKings Sportsbook sponsoring today's episode. You just got to use code CLicKbAIt when you sign up over at DraftKings. New customers, right now, you bet $5 on any pregame. If you don't know, that means before the game starts. Okay, so pre meaning before. $5 money line pregame wager. If that bet hits, you're gonna get $150 in free bet.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. Money.
And
money,
if
money,
you want
money.
to up the stakes even more, try out some same game parlays where you can combine multiple bets from one game, like which team will win and how much for a shot. Wait, hold on. Like which team will win and by how much. Thank you. I can read. Woo. Look, guys, I've been getting wild with my parlays. I've been stacking like 7.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, you're going for one of those like bet slips that gets posted on Twitter, and you're
Yes,
like, bro,
yes.
should I cash out?
And
On
so
my $12 bet.
2 weeks ago, I did 6 and I only missed on 2. I'm like, let me do it again. The second one I did 7 and I missed on 6. So I say I'm gonna go back to the money line wagers again.
Is there a way to bet where you just bet on not hitting? Like if you say I'm gonna pick these 7 things to not happen, is there?
Yeah, and then
Like-
they end up happening.
like
I guess that's called betting.
betting
I
the
guess that's-
under. You're saying I don't think.
You're
this QB is
shorting.
gonna throw for
You're
250.
kind of shorting a player.
Yeah.
But like I'm thinking of like a Mr. Beast prize where like you're the first man out. Like there should be a prize on DraftKings. Like this is the worst bet you could have possibly made. Like you didn't hit anything.
Yeah, they should have that every week, and you
Yeah.
just get your money back.
Yeah.
A year in review, like Spotify in review, and
All
just
your
show
mixed
you
bets.
all the bets you got
The
bodied
dumb bets.
on week after week.
You thought that the Broncos
This
were
is
going
what
to
you
take
could have
the
earned.
over against the
This is what you earned.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
They should
All
have.
right, we got a couple
Spotify
more,
rep.
then we can do all of our
Code
teams.
CLicKbAIt.
Oh yes.
Do it.
Oh,
Code
yeah,
clickety
is
baity.
click.
All right. We got a couple more here, and
Yes,
the
5
tier
more
maker,
trades.
the
Ooh.
worst ever. Okay, here we
Ooh.
go. Here we go,
Oh, let's
guys.
do it.
Take it away, Brandon. What are we saying?
Just
You know what? That's
bad?
fair.
You
That's fair.
need more time to grade it. So
Yeah.
it
Yes,
does need-
thank you.
That's fair.
So give it a couple years, and if that draft pick say like Seattle trades down, or they get their future quarterback, say it turns into Will Levis or CJ Stroud, and he becomes really good, then you got a problem.
Or Anthony Richardson. Like,
Richardson will probably be late first, early second.
we'll see. Anything is
Ooh.
possible.
My thing
right
is,
now, okay, guys. Okay, I'll move it to very bad right now. It's very, very
Mhm.
bad.
No, you can keep it at bad because it's TBD. It could turn into a great trade. We just don't know. It's just
A
gonna
great
one
trade?
year.
Good.
People
It
said the
could.
OBJ
Shit
trade
has
was
left.
terrible
If
at
the
the time.
Broncos win the Super
Yeah,
Bowl next year,
possible.
no one's saying this is a bad trade. Everyone's saying this was the best trade, and they just needed a year to get acclimated to ride.
No, you needed to get rid
I
of
don't see
Nathaniel
that
Hackett.
happening.
That's what.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
you better trade Nathaniel Hackett.
I'm
for
okay
a
with bad.
cotton
I'm going to
candy
say
machine.
bad for now because it's early. It's early.
I'm going to say, based off the data we have today, this is a very, very bad trade. He has created a negative effect on your offense. Like, you guys last year were like, man, we're a quarterback away. When you had Drew Lock, right? You were like, oh man, if we just had an all-pro quarterback, we're going to the Super Bowl. You didn't even get the best quarterback on Seattle's roster, okay?
He's regressed big time.
Yes, Russell Wilson. Like, people would have raised an eyebrow if you traded for Geno Smith. You should have traded for Geno Smith.
They're not
This
gonna-
is
Geno
very,
Smith.
very bad.
It was either Aaron Rodgers, and they couldn't get him because he got extended, and they
Mhm.
found
And
Russell
then you
Wilson.
ended up stuck with
What are y'all going to say
That's
when
like
the Broncos
standing-
go 12-4 or 12-5 next year? What are you guys going to say? Are you going to keep the same energy? Because it literally could just be year one. They got a terrible coach. They get rid of the coach. They bring in an offensive-minded coach. It could be just like that. It is the first year. We don't know what's happening.
Hackett is so fired, though. Like, you have to fire him, right? Like, you have to cut.
No, there's
bait.
going to be a lot that happens, I think, this offseason. I don't
Immediately.
even think George Payton's job at GM is safe anymore.
Yeah, it could
Because,
be.
I mean, we got new owners. We don't know what
We
they're going to
have
do.
to hold out
Yeah.
on this. That's all I'm saying. We have
We're
to
gonna
get-
want their
it looks
guys.
bad now, but things can look bad and turn around very quickly.
I
Okay.
didn't know it could get worse than John Elway, and it somehow has.
Hey,
But you
Elway
have
got
no
a
draft
Super Bowl.
picks now. You don't have any draft picks because you gave them away for the.
All right, let's
For
see.
the
They have a
I'll do the rest of
second.
these.
They have a second, and
Okay.
they have Miami's first.
Okay.
They have picks.
We will get our
that Dan?
something. Go Ritter. Okay.
Desmond
next
Ritter
one is
season.
Steve Young.
Ooh, you could say this about a bunch of Tampa Bay Buccaneers trades, not just Steve Young. This is a team that traded what would be the 4th overall pick for Wally Chambers in 1979. That pick became Dan Hampton, who was one of the big pieces of the 85 Bears. This is a team that traded the number 1 overall pick in 1983, albeit a really weak 1983 draft class because of the USFL, for, I believe his name was Jack Thompson, the throwing Samoan. He did nothing. And the
Throwing
piece de
Samoan.
resistance, they traded what would be the 2nd overall pick in 1992. And you ever wonder how the Colts got the 1st and the 2nd overall pick in that draft? They traded that pick for Chris Chandler, who only lasted, I believe, for a season and a half before he got thrown away on waivers. So you can say this about a bunch of trades in the Hugh Culverhouse era.
Don't forget, they also drafted Bo Jackson when he said he would not play for him.
And they lost that
and they
pick.
drafted him anyways, and then they basically lost the pick, or they got some compensatory from the Raiders for it, but it was a penance.
It
And
was
then Bo
nothing.
Jackson.
They lost that pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's also why, going back to that other trade, you got to have some grace for the teams that traded away some of these players who said they weren't going to play. Because look at what happens when you draft someone who says, I'm not going to play for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Steve
it
Young
worked
turned
out
out
with
to be pretty good.
Pretty good.
I mean,
Yeah,
Steve
Young
he was
was-
never going to develop in Tampa Bay, though. I mean, they had favored Vinny Testaverde or Vinny Mr. Throaty, or the colorblind. Like they hated him in Tampa for a long.
The other
time.
thing with Young too, though, is like he sat behind Montana in San Francisco too, so he had to wait to get even his chance
Yeah.
before. So he might have been ruined, but he might have been David or Derek Carr in Tampa before.
Well,
he even
he had
got
already
to
got
play.
thrown away because remember they got the number 1 overall pick. They wanted the local boy in Testaverde, and that's why Steve Young became expendable.
Mhm. All right, I
Alright.
like this next one. Trent
What about
Richardson.
Trent
Richardson.
Richardson?
The Ryan Gregson special.
Ooh.
See, I feel like this has got to be. This is not a worst runner-up. It's not close because the compensation aspect.
It
right?
was a first-round pick, though.
Yeah, but look at everyone else who's up in here.
Up in here.
So, yeah, it's got to be below worst runner-up in my opinion. It's got to be worst.
Very bad.
The problem with that is like Richardson. What was the comp for him? It was
I
First-round pick?
Yeah.
just a first round pick. He was so bad afterwards. Like no one saw him just completely not understanding the NFL. Like how did he go from being what a
Third overall
stud in
pick?
college? Yeah.
He couldn't
Third
read
overall
holes.
pick. Yeah, he just forgot the game. And when he got to the NFL, or he just was falsely masked by Alabama by the time he got there. But how do you know that guy's going to be that freaking bad?
And and actually, chat's saying this as well. Both teams failed because the pick that became Trent Richardson was traded in purpose for Johnny Manziel.
So this is a very bad trade.
It's just a
for
bad
both
trade.
teams.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
We
that's
could go
like
worse.
because Richardson's rookie year wasn't like good, but he had 950 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns that year. So
'Cause he was a short yardage back.
yeah, and the Browns kind of realized who he was as a runner, I think, and took advantage of where they drafted him, and that was smart. But yes, Johnny Manziel, that did not work out.
Remember,
Johnny-
Scooter, remember when Jerry Jones really wanted to draft Johnny Manziel? I wish that would have happened.
I do.
And
And
son like slammed the phone down.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Stephen
then
Jones told him not to.
the experienced counsel came in and said, "No, Jerry, that's not what we need. We
Yeah,
don't need
this-
that."
They probably had a
everything was
scouting
right.
report, and they were
That's
like,
why I
"This
was-
guy sucks."
That's why I thought they were going to go for Baker Mayfield for a hot minute.
Oh, yeah.
Relax. Relax.
Baker
We got our
Mayfield.
guys. We got our guys.
Okay,
Who?
Mitchell
Cooper Rush?
Trubisky.
That's
That
a
is
bad
a bad trade. That's up there. Worst runner up. You trade up one position, and for a guy that never really panned out, got ruined in the Chicago system. It was a bad pick at the time, and worse,
What was the
The-
compensation for this?
it was the pick after, which became Solomon Thomas. It didn't become much, and then it was 2/3 and a 4th round pick. One of those picks was Tedrick Thompson, who kind of became like an guy, decent depth. The other two pieces were Alvin Kamara and Fred Warner. So that was a terrible trade.
I think what makes this the worst, though, was that draft class, right? Like,
The
Wasn't-
pick was Deshaun Watson. It always
Yeah.
was.
wasn't there another guy in that draft?
Yeah, Mr. Mahomes,
Yeah.
but he
Patrick
was
a guy named
Mahomes.
He
Patrick
would've flopped miserably in
Mahomes.
Chicago.
Watson,
So they
still on
traded,
board.
right?
Yeah.
They traded up to avoid the services of either Deshaun Watson, which
I think on
It is
account
what
of
it is.
that alone, it puts it in worst runner-up just because you traded up and did not select Mahomes or Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Now, if they would have traded up and taken Mahomes, here's one thing though, is Trubisky did lead the Bears to the playoffs and won a playoff game.
That was
if
on the
it was
defense, though.
not. Yes, but he did enough. Okay, if Cody Parkey did not double doink. So Trubisky did pay some dividends initially,
Yeah.
but now as time has unfolded and Patrick Mahomes is going to probably be a Hall of Famer, and you passed on him. And you know what? A bunch of teams passed on Mahomes.
said-
They
once
just
again.
didn't see it.
Once again,
So-
he
Just
was
did a
never
video
going to
about
pan
how
out
the
in
Chiefs-
Chicago. He would have been a bust.
How the Chiefs ended up in position to draft Patrick Mahomes, and it's not fun for
It's the
me.
first time they traded up
No.
and drafted a QB in the first round since Todd Blackledge.
Ooh, he
Todd
was
the
not.
Bod.
Todd the Bod. All
Yeah.
right, are we gonna wrap this one up?
And we didn't mention like the weirdest part of that trade was that the 49ers were not going to take a quarterback.
Yeah, they
Oh,
were
yeah,
worried
yeah,
that
yeah.
someone else was going to trade up.
To
Right.
get Trubisky?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they played themselves.
Yes. All right, and finally, like Wilson, this one needs time from a football perspective, but the Cleveland
I'd say
Browns.
it's bad for now. We got to figure out how he plays.
Yeah, like I think it's very bad because
Yeah, we can put him in very bad for now.
Yeah,
Just
I don't think it's one
because
of the
like the way people are reacting to your entire fandom right now, plus the compensation you gave up was immense.
The most guaranteed
2022.
money ever.
Yeah, and then
Oh
you
my
locked him
God.
up. Then you locked him up. So you've basically tied your boat or anchored your boat to this man who is bringing so much baggage with him, and you're all in with him. You've shoved in your chips. You can't do anything for the next 5 years.
And again, let it be known, like there could be other women who come out in the future. There already has been one more that wasn't included in the original.
I think now, like, come on now, you coming out now?
I'm
You-
just
you missed
saying
the
it
boat.
could happen.
Okay.
And now what are you gonna do? So let's see how it plays out. Let's see how
I'm
it plays
really
out.
curious to see how he plays in, I don't know, like a month. I didn't think he would be good early, like right now. Missing 2 years of football, like as a quarterback, that's no easy thing to like bounce back from. I don't care what quarterback you are. So yeah, we'll see. But
Right. I keep forgetting that he sat that whole other year because he just didn't want to play for the Texans. He was just
Right.
basically like, I don't want to be here.
It
yeah,
looks like we're
almost
not
2
gonna
years,
have
right?
time.
Yeah.
2 years.
Looks like we're not gonna have time to get to our teams trades, but
Oh, we can
I
do it
will
real
just-
quick. 1 minute. 1
I
minute.
would just say Joey Galloway, that was a terrible trade, but even worse than that was Roy Williams. I believe we gave up a first and a third. This man was terrible during his whole tenure. He was dropping wide open passes. He was a tall receiver who I was excited to get. And then when we got him, never produced. I was sad. And we had 2 Roy Williams on the team at that time. It was hard to distinguish which one
confusing.
you were
Yeah.
talking about. So I was happy when that era was over.
For
But
me,
I think it's also why we didn't get OBJ, because I think Jerry Jones has learned from his past history with these receivers. We'll see.
yes. Speaking of OBJ, that trade hurt the most as a Giants fan, but the picks that we got one of them ended up becoming Dexter Lawrence. So I can't really hate on that. I think the Giants trading down for Kadarius Toney, who is now an injured member of the Chiefs, when Micah Parsons was the next player taken off the board. Like, Micah Parsons would obviously solve many issues that the Giants have. We got Micah Parsons light and Kayvon Thibodeau. And the second worst trade, though, is the Giants trading their dignity for a medium soda.
I know for the Steelers' sake, they don't really make trades. Like, most of the ones I can really think of was a first-round pick for Minka, which has worked out. And then you have Jerome Bettis, that trade, which did wonders for the team. Otherwise, I can't really think of a bad trade for Pittsburgh just because they don't really do any. The only one I can really think of that had negative results at the end was trading up to pick Devin Bush, but you couldn't think that at the time.
Yeah.
It's the only one. They didn't really give up that much for.
And we know which the worst trade is for the Broncos.
no, we do not. There's
What?
time to tell
There's
because
one worse?
This is pretty good. Let me throw in another guy for you. His name is Josh McDaniels. And he once traded away Jay Cutler for Kyle Orton. And I know Jay Cutler wasn't the greatest QB ever, but he was playing pretty damn good in Denver at the time. Had Brandon Marshall in the receiving game. We get rid of a guy who could have been there a long time. A year later in the draft, the Broncos give up their 2010 first round pick to the Seahawks to get one Alfonso Smith, a corner who just never worked out. And with that pick, the Seahawks took Earl Thomas the following season. So, who helped beat the Broncos in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
So,
irony.
I could do a whole video about all of the ways the Seahawks have screwed my team.
Yeah.
Hey, I like that.
Haven't you? Yeah. Aren't you
I
doing
like
one?
seeing people get screwed.
Better
Not
assign
every
Will.
week. I mean, every
Assign
week,
it.
basically.
Assign it to Will. Okay. Can we do the countdown?
Yes.
Who's
I
gonna
got a
sing?
feeling. I
in
think I
Simon's
know.
place?
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's do it together
Down.
as
Yeah.
a group.
Ah,
Carpool karaoke. Let's do it.
ah, yeah. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15.
4.
Your
One
mother
potato,
is
potato, potato, or
God, we are terrible at
Tiger
rhyming
by
and
the
everything
tail.
and that stuff.
what?
Please, for the love of God, let Brandon accept the fact that Russell Wilson was a terrible trade. Yet we all thought it was a good deal
Yep,
at the time.
he doesn't want to face reality. I got $121.98. Thank you, everybody. Beast of Metal coming clutch.
I lost. Thank God.
What
How
do you
much you
have?
got?
Trey?
92.91.
Ooh.
Okay.
I got $177.91. So
I
I think I'm
think we
safe.
know who it is.
Got
Scoots.
$310.
Oh,
310. What are we
Well
doing?
done.
We sending
$300
Scoots to the dollar store.
dollar store.
Dollar
I would
store?
say Scoots would have to buy $300 worth of stuff from the dollar store, but then immediately donate it to like a charity or something like that.
Oh, I'm okay with
I
that.
like
Canned
that.
food.
Yeah,
Canned food.
like buy socks, toothpaste,
Yeah.
and, you
But
know,
we got to
like,
see
things
how
that-
much you can buy at the dollar store. For
Yes, I would just like,
$300.
but you have to film. You have to go there and film it, and then film the reaction of the
Okay,
person. You have to buy
But yeah, turn
300
it into a
individual.
positive. I like that.
Yes,
I'm
Yeah.
with
Turn-
it.
I
All right,
buy
I will
it.
take
I got it.
all $310, buy as much stuff at the dollar store as possible, and then go give it out
yes,
to people in need. I will do that.
perfect.
You have to keep one item though
yes,
Okay.
like
from the
you
dollar
can't-
store.
Now, do
One
you guys
item
want me
you
to?
find as
Do
a
you want me to
deal. You
film
can
this
like it.
giving it to the people? Because
However, I mean that would be a nice wrap up to the story. It's
Yeah, but I
however you
don't-
want to do it, but
I don't know.
I would
You
like
could
to
go to a donation
film.
center who just takes it, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goodwill could do it.
No, you could actually, you
They're
know,
not
a lot
gonna-
of times there's usually like a shelter that will really take
yeah,
those items. Like I think like hand sanitizer, toothpaste.
I'm gonna
socks
make
are
I'm gonna
big,
make
sweatpants.
bags. Basically, I'm gonna make bags and then just give the bags out
There
to
you
different
go.
people. Yeah. Okay. I'm with it. Not
All
a
right,
punishment at
sweet.
all.
And then we'll talk about the white elephant gift exchange for CLicKbAIt Sports. But thanks everyone for showing up. We will see you all next week. Grassi will be back. And I'm 5 points, and you made it to the end of CLicKbAIt Sports.
Peace.